With this hand, I will lift your sorrows. Your cup will never empty, for I will be your wine. Ah, Mrs. Everglot, you look ravishing this evening. What, Mr. Everglot? Call you Dad? Well, if you insist. With this candle, I will light your way in darkness. And with this ring, I ask you to be mine. Hey guys, so today's tutorial is supposed to be inspired by none other than Victor from the movie Corpse Bride. I'm actually very excited to show you guys this look because I love Corpse Bride. It's been one of my favorite movies ever since I was a little kid. I love Tim Burton. I just love the creepy and dark twists he puts in all his movies, and Victor is one of my favorite characters. And I feel so excited because I got to body paint him today, and I've never felt more adorable. So if you guys want to see how I did this look, then all you gotta do is just keep on watching. So as per usual, I'm starting out with a white eyeliner pencil and I'm sketching out his clothes. Now, I would really recommend using a white eyeliner pencil or a nude one in specific, just because it's very easy to erase just in case you make a mistake. Then with Mehron's Paradise Paint in white, I'm filling in the shirt, and you might have to do a few layers just to get an opaque finish. Also, it depends on the type of paint that you're using. Then I'm mixing in light blue Paradise Paint with a bit of dark blue to get a more accurate color match, and then filling in the tie. And for both the shirt and the tie, I'm using the Paradise Makeup AQ 816 paintbrush. Then mixing in red and black Paradise Paint to get a really dark, rich, blood red color, and then using this to fill in the vest. So for the jacket, this is where things got funky. So I had to mix teal with a little bit of green and a little bit of black and blue to get this really dark gray shade with a hint of blue and green in it, and it turned out very patchy as hell, but like I fixed it afterwards, so no worries. And then I'm using the Paradise Makeup AQ 130 brush to do so. Then using my all-time favorite eyeshadow palette, you know by this point, is the Morphe 35C eyeshadow palette. And then using this to draw all the shadows on the clothes, starting off with the blue in the tie first, and then using the Morphe M209 brush to do so. Then using a bit of black to deepen up the folds and the shadows in the tie. Now, looking at a reference picture will really help when figuring out where to place the shadows. With the same shadow and brush, I'm drawing the features on the vest and then moving on to shading the color using a dark gray shadow and then a small flat brush to really get into those corners, but then I'm buffing it out with a fluffier brush so it's not so intense. Also, I'm drawing the collar on the jacket and then blending it out to give the illusion of more of a shadow. For highlighting, I use a fine tip brush with Paradise Paint in white, and I highlight the very edges of the cloth and then using a dry brush to soften down the line. Pretty much all the same steps apply for the rest of the cloth. Draw a line where the highlights go, then use a dry brush or the brush with the leftover color you used to fill in the section, then to soften down the lines, basically highlighting all the highest points of the fabric as well. Using the tiniest bit of water really helps out with the blending because this is water activated makeup after all. Then created the buttons using pretty much the exact same techniques, but this time drawing a circle and then blend the edges inwards. Don't forget to create the seams where the fabric is sewn in together and then highlight and shade accordingly. Making wrinkles with a white eyeshadow for more realism and then shading in between with black.
For the bigger wrinkles, I simply take a paintbrush with white paradise paint and then draw random diagonal lines on my arm and then blend out with a brush and a little bit of water. So while that dried, I created some texture on my tie with a bristled brush and then moved on to shading the wrinkles in the sleeve using a little bit of black eyeshadow. Moving on to the face, I am priming with the Nivea Men Aftershave Balm for a moisturizing finish and then using the Angel Veil Primer by NYX Cosmetics and blending it all over for a prepped and smooth base. Get my ghoulish groove on before applying a foundation that is hella paler than my own skin tone, but for this character it actually works just fine, and then taking the Morphe G6 brush and then blending it all out. Now don't forget to bring this down your neck and over your ears as well. For concealer and highlight, I'm actually using the NYX's SFX Cream Makeup and mixing it with my foundation to get a really hella light concealer color, like I'm talking Mikey from Glam & Gore Pale here. And I'm using this on my under eye and I'm dragging the concealer up, like along my eye, up towards my temple to get a more thinner and angular appearance. Also using this to highlight my nose, forehead, and all the usual highlight places. Then blending it out with my Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. Don't forget to color match your neck and ears as well. Then I'm using the Cinema Secrets Flesh Tone Stack and I'm using this to basically contour my face, and I'm using a very dark brown to really intensify my facial features. For example, I'm really thinning out the nose here and then adding dimples because Victor does seem to have very gaunt and sunken in cheeks. Now using a little bit of purple to intensify a little bit more as well, and then blending it all out with my Real Techniques Beauty Sponge. To prevent anything from smearing, I'm pressing a loose powder all over the face and neck and then buffing away all the excess. This also made me even paler than I was actually. Now for powder and contour, I'm using the Morphe 9C Contour and Highlight Palette, and I'm using this taupey shade and a Morphe Dome Shape brush, and I'm using this to really get into those dimples to make my mouth look more puckered up and sunken in. Then using the Furless Cosmetics ME3 brush and the same taupe shade and really heavily snatching this nose. With the same contour shade and a fluffy blending brush, I'm creating the sunken in eyes by running it in window wiping motions on my crease and then blending it down very heavily under the eye to give me the illusion of under eye baggage. Also really emphasizing right under the brow to give the more sad expression that a lot of Tim Burton characters always seem to have. Then I'm darkening up the contours by using some black and gray eyeshadows, but being very careful to go in slowly and not to overdo it because it is always easier to add than take away. I'm also emphasizing the dimples and darkness in the eyes. With a black eyeshadow, I just filled in my brows as I normally would, starting off by the arch and then working my way towards the tail and the front very lightly. And to shade the neck, I'm just using a fluffy blending brush with brown and black eyeshadow to create the shadows that will be casted by the color on my neck, and then blending any harsh edges out before taking the NYX's Jumbo Pencil in Milk and running this on both my waterlines to really open up my eyes and make them look a lot bigger than they are. Blending some more of that taupe shadow under the eyes to give the creepy sunken in feel, and then flicking a little bit of black eyeshadow in the front of my brows to really give me that sad expression that Victor seems to have. To add some color to the lips, I just used a bit of black and blue eyeshadow, and I concentrated this mainly on the center to make the lips look a little bit smaller than they actually are. Now you don't necessarily have to do this step, but I couldn't resist myself, so I am going to highlight the very tip of my nose and Cupid's bow using Icy Blue from my Anastasia Beverly Hills Moonchild Glow Kit, which has a very beautiful blue reflex to it, which adds perfectly to this pale effect. So that is it for Victor Van Dort from the movie Corpse Bride. Now I really hope that you all enjoyed this makeup tutorial, and if you did, please make sure to give it a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Also, if you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the links will be down below, as well as a list of products that I used in this video. So I really hope to see you all next time, and bye!